Hello. Just tuning in here. So let me finish up something. Okay. Hello. So welcome to the How to Make Your Own Small Business Website webinar. And we're going to get this thing started. And so thank you for joining me. And I hope you learned a lot. Okay, so let me get my little paint thing. Okay, so before we can really build a website, let me kind of cover what we're going to do in this little webinar here. So one of the first things is we need a plan. So we're going to plan your website. And that's one of the first key things that we don't want to neglect here. And then after we do that, we are going to kind of talk about how to set up how to buy a domain name, how to set up your hosting, and how to start building your website using WordPress. Now we're focusing on WordPress in this webinar because, for one, it is a free platform that's supported by most major hosting companies, and so it doesn't lock you into a web hosting company forever. So whereas if you go to like Squarespace or Wix or one of the other website builders, you're kind of locked into their hosting plan and their system. So with WordPress, you can change hosting if you ever need to. So if the pricing goes out of your budget or you just don't want to have to pay that much per month, WordPress is the way to go. It has a ton of features, a ton of support, and it powers, I think, a third. I could be wrong on that number, but it should be about a third of all websites on the internet right now. So this project that we're going to talk about in this example, it's going to cost around $56.94, which is really good. That's all just for the web hosting for 1 year and a domain name for 1 year. That covers you for the whole time, and if you didn't add anything else, it's not going to cost you any more than that. So you could go also with a little bit cheaper route, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Okay, so as we were saying, the next thing that we are going to talk about, here, let me get my notes. Like I said, buying web hosting and a domain name. Oops. And a domain name. And I will be making notes available for this webinar after I have to finish creating them, but it will show you step by step more in detail. Oops, not that. For what to do and how to do this, so how to buy hosting, how to set up the domain name, and everything like that. So it will go into that kind of detail, and then in this webinar we're going to focus more on, okay, after you have hosting, you've already pointed the domain name, this is how you kind of build the website out, this is how you should lay it out, this is some of the key things you need to think about when doing any kind of marketing, how to make sales and that kind of stuff, and it's going to make a big difference. You'll see what I'm talking about later on. Alright, so if you do have questions, I may or may not see them, but you can put them in the chat, and you can also email them to me. You can just go to my website at makingtheimpact.com, or you can go to freewebsitetraining.net, which is another one of the websites that I've created for this free training. So if you want access to the notes, to be able to learn more stuff about building your own website, get the list of free resources, go to one of my websites, so freewebsitetraining.net or makingtheimpact.com. Here, I can put those up here too. makingtheimpact.com and freewebsitetraining.net. So those are my two main websites here for this training. Now, following buying website hosting and a domain name and setting it up, you're going to set up the set up website hosting. Okay, so you're going to set up that, you're going to install WordPress. Okay, and then we will start building your website. And in this example, I currently do not have a logo or anything for this. This is a brand new website. I haven't put a lot of planning into it yet, so this is going to be kind of a lot of unplanned discussion on this stuff. So bear with me, but we will have some fun with this. Alright, so when we're going to plan this website, we want to keep several things in mind. I have something I can show you. Let me pull it up. I've got to get it. Where did it go? Okay. Now, let me switch gears here. I think it should be this one. Okay, so I am using OBS software to live stream this. So, alright, now you should be seeing my screen here, and I've got some mock layouts for how to lay out content and everything. Because a big part of planning is figuring out what the website, is going to do, what features it needs. You need to kind of know what kind of content you're going to need to put on it. You need to figure out what your budget is, figure out where you're going to get your images and graphics, where you're going to get your content, and also kind of determine who's going to maintain your website and keep it updated with fresh content, how you're going to do that. So planning is so important. It's going to save you both time and money. So this is why we're going to talk about planning it first. This is something that not a lot of people do, so we want to make sure that we have the right kind of information. Now, as you can see, I've got some layouts here, and the example website that we are going to build in this webinar is called coolautismshirts.com. I don't know if you know anyone with autism, but I do, and I am autistic, so it just kind of fits my niche. So I'm going to be building an example website, and then I'm going to take it down later, and then rebuild it later. But this is just for an example purposes, and so you can kind of learn what to do, how to do it, and how you can lay out your website. So this first layout, we have like a home page, and then I've got like a content layout, and I have a contact page layout. And before we can even really plan what these things are going to be, is we kind of need to figure out, alright, do we have a logo? Do we have images? Do we have, kind of a site structure figured out? And so let me switch back. Here we go. So you need to have some kind of site structure for people to be able to know where to go and how they're going to get there. And so if you have, let's see, because each page should be logical, and easy to navigate. So we have like a home page, which is going to be the landing page that people will see when they type in your domain name. And if you haven't chosen a domain name yet, I do have a number of things to keep in mind with that, so we can talk about that a little bit before we move on. So you gotta make sure that you try and get a domain name that is not too long, and it shouldn't be too hard to spell. If it is something that is commonly misspelled, it is best to buy the domain names for those misspellings, just in case, and then point them, you'll point those to the primary domain. And with the, let's see, with the words that you use for the domain name, usually you're going to use your business name, but if that isn't available, then try and do something either similar or do something with the keywords that your business is about. So, you know, if you have a candle business, you can say maybe Sally's candle something. And so you target things, preferably words that people are doing searches for. And we can talk about that in another session, or in later in this webinar if there's interest for that. And what you're going to need to do for choosing your domain name is, let's see, sorry. It's a little bit hard for me to do this because this is the first time I've really done this, and so just bear with me. Alright, so in this example, let me show you my example, domain name, which is coolautismshirts.com. Alright, so this is my little, oops, it keeps trying to create things. I don't usually use Paint, and I'm getting all kinds of notifications here. Good gracious. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to select it, and Microsoft is being a pain. Okay. Yeah. It's not letting me click it. It's just selecting more things. Well, that's what I get for using this thing here. I was trying not to do that. It just does not want to cooperate. Well, in any case, so we have the home page, and then we're going to have several other pages. So in this example, we're going to have like a, I'm not going to use the thing, but we'll have like a shops page. It may be somewhere where I could feature products or something that I'm offering. And then I'm going to have an about page. Excuse my crazy drawing here, but it's really hard to draw on a computer. Okay, and then we have the contact page. It's important to have a contact page because people need to be able to contact you, and it also gives your oh my, there's some horrible noises outside, and I don't know what they are doing, but I hope you can't hear that because it sounds like a banshee screaming. Alright, so then we're going to have a fifth page. Okay, and we're going to name this blog. Okay, there we go. So now we kind of have a website plan of sorts. We know the website's going to be called coolautismshirts.com. Since it's operating under my primary business name, Making Impact, I'm not going to I'm going to have a logo that's going to kind of reflect that it's a .com website, and then make that clear. And so we can, let's see, I don't really want to create it in this, so maybe I won't. But I just won't use a logo for this, just because I don't want to make an ugly one in Paint. But it is possible to make images in Paint. It's just not as easy as using my graphic design software that I like. I am a big fan of Photoshop. So if you have the ability to do that, that's the one to use. And if you don't, that's okay. There's other options, but Photoshop is always the best. Okay, so we've got this plan. We've got domain name. As you can see, this is made up of certain, I've got 3 words. Most good domains that are available are going to be 3 to 4 words. So try and keep it short. Don't use, some really long, names if you can help it. And if you abbreviate things, be careful, because that can make it a little bit harder for people to remember. It kind of depends on the word and the name of things. And so just be mindful of that when you do choose a domain name. For purchasing a domain name, I recommend Namecheap. They are one of the best places to get them. That's where I buy my domain names, because they are cheap and they include free privacy. You're going to want privacy because if you don't, you will get spam. Spam. Horrible spam. Because as soon as you register a domain name, you know what happens? It goes into a big public database, and it displays your contact details. And so what privacy does is it prevents spam, so it cancels it out, so people can't get your details. They'll see the privacy registration details instead. And so you won't get a bunch of annoying emails or calls or mail from from registering a domain name. Now, let me see. You can get the link to Namecheap in the description for this video, and also from my websites. So you can go check those out and get the link to buy your domain name from there. And they make it pretty easy. It's really cheap, and so it costs, on average like $8.88. So $8.88 a year, which is really cheap. A lot of places will charge more. For some domain names, it may cost more, and if you want a premium domain name, well, forget the cheapness. Then it's going to be a rather significant purchase up front. Oh yes, another thing for choosing a domain name. See this .com. .com is the primary one that you should try to get, because that is the one that most people are going to be used to. There are other ones like .net. .net is a decent one. .org is another. So .org, and then another one would be the .info is sometimes used, but it just doesn't have as much credibility. So if you're trying to build a business website, your best bet is to stick with .com. This is your winning domain name right here, is a .com. So things like .info, .cool, .whatever, they have a whole bunch of them, hundreds and hundreds now, and they are just a little bit, they're not less. It's not like they can't be used, but they are less intuitive. So if someone is trying to remember the domain name for your website, if you have something weird, they're probably not going to remember it unless it really fits with your branding and you have it really strongly emphasized everywhere. And so, for the most case, try to stick with .com. Now, let's see. The next thing we need to talk about, is the site structure. So we have the site structure here, and below these pages, we may have another page. So if I had a whole bunch of staff for this website here, then I would have a staff page, and that would be a child of this one. But we're not going to go into that today. But you can have a number of categories for a blog. If you don't know what a blog is just it's a place where you post different articles, different media. You can post, some videos, different content, and it just kind of becomes a collection of it. And you can sort it into categories or by date or different things like that. And you can have all these different pages under it. And it's just something that search engines like because it's more regular content and it will get indexed over time and all that kind of stuff and help with your search engine rankings. So a blog is pretty important. So if you're trying to target a particular niche, in this case I would be targeting autism shirts. So I may have different blog articles that I would come up with and post, and have different articles in categories and stuff like that that would be of interest to this particular niche. And that's going to help search engine rankings for the site. Now for the shop I can do different ways. So I could have a simple order form for like a few products, or I could have something that actually is a full store of products. And there's different ways of doing it. There's, some kind of free ways. It does kind of add up, and it kind of depends on what you're trying to do. This could also be a booking appointment page. It could be an event calendar. There's different things you can do with these different things. You can have multiple pages. With the way we're going to build a website in this, you can have as many pages as you want. You can actually build multiple websites onto the same hosting account without having to pay any more. And the only thing you really need to keep in mind with this is that the way I'm going to show you for building these websites is that this is best for just standard small business websites, something that's not having a whole lot of media files. So if you're trying to host a whole bunch of video files, say directly onto your host, and you're not using YouTube, you're not using Rumble, you're not using any of the other platforms like Vimeo or anything, you're trying to host it yourself, or you have a lot of large files that you're trying to share, then you may need a different kind of hosting that's more powerful and able to handle the bandwidth and storage and all that kind of stuff. This is mainly for just standard, businesses that are just trying to, sell something or advertise their business or that kind of thing. You can have blogs, you can have a lot of different types of websites. So something that's not super resource heavy. If you have a bunch of small files that you want to offer as downloads in a shop, that's something you can do with this. That's fine. But if it's something like, file sizes of like a gig or, 500 megabytes each or something like that, something that's going to take up a lot of storage space, you may encounter a problem because it'll use up a lot of bandwidth and slow down the server and that kind of stuff. Alright, so now, so as I could say, you could use this for booking, you can do different kinds of things with your website. So, in this example, we'll just do a little simple shop. Just so you kind of get an idea, but I'm not going to go into great detail for it or completely set it up, because I just want to give you an idea, because there's so many different ways of doing this. And it all can be done pretty cheaply, so I will show you those little secrets. And so, oh yeah, another thing, the advent calendar, and there's just all kinds of things that you can have with your website. You can have photo galleries, you can have like if you want to have a bunch of videos that you have on YouTube or something and make a page about that, and you can display those. You can put those probably in a blog, would probably be a good place for that. But you can also have like a page that's like, displaying a bunch of categories of things and stuff. Okay, so we kind of have some idea of what we're building and what it's kind of going to do. It's going to, have some information. We're going to add a contact form, and if it had a location, I would add a map or something. And let's see. And we might do some example blog posts or whatever if we have some time. Now, let's see. Let me jump back to... I'm going to jump back to here. Alright. So, as you can see on my little page for planning your website, this is how I'm going to kind of structure the layouts of the websites, well, of this website, and how I typically do it. The reason I do it this way is because people are creatures of habit, and they like things to be where they're used to. If you start putting things in a weird, crazy place, so say instead of having the navigation up at the top, you put it down at the bottom, or somewhere that's just not obvious, or something that is too different, it can throw people off, and you can lose people in a matter of seconds. So if someone goes to your website and they don't know where something is, or they don't see what they want right away, chances are they're going to click away, and you only have a few seconds to capture their attention and get them to do something. So they need to be able to figure out what it is that, where it is that they need to go, what they need to do, and you have to make it easy for them to do it. And so this is the kind of standard layout that I typically use for most sites. So I usually put the logo up there, and it's with the navigation somewhere at the top. It may be below the logo, it may be at the side of the logo. That's somewhere that's usually pretty frequently used on most sites. So that's something most people are going to be used to seeing. Now, a lot of websites are also viewed on mobile now. So the layout structure for that content has to be responsive. Now, responses just means that it looks good across multiple devices, so that, you don't lose the let me see if I can show an example here. So if we try and look at that, see how it shrunk? It shrunk this stuff, and now it's harder for you to see it. But if this was a responsive image, then this stuff would fold. This stuff would collapse. So this would go, up at the top. This might slide underneath, or it might show the menu icon or something like that. Then it may show this image, and then this would fall underneath that. And it's just going to stack the blocks of content. And that's going to make it easy for people to be able to browse our website because it's in a logical order that they can find. Okay, so as you can see, we'd have a logo and some kind of media content here. We'd have some kind of headline and stuff that goes here. And we have call to action. Call to action is something used a lot in marketing. That's because if you are trying to get someone to do something, you need to call them to take an action. You need them to do something. If you're trying to sell widgets, some kind of fancy widgets or something, you'd have maybe a widget here. You would have some kind of headline, saying these widgets save, $5.65 every minute. I don't know, something like that. And you can say they're limited on sale or something, limited time only. Get yours now, learn more, something like that. And then those buttons would go to the appropriate pages. So one may go to an order form, one may go to a page with more product information, and then you may have some other things that you can advertise there. This is one of the biggest things that you need to focus on, on this landing page here, because this is the first thing that people are going to see when they come to your website in general. So if they type in your domain name, this is the thing that you need to focus on showing them. So you need to have something really captivating and interesting to them that's going to really get them to engage with their website and help them find what they're trying to find, because they came to your website for a reason and they want something. What do they want? Well, you need to give it to them. So that is one of the things that you need to keep in mind there. And so then we can have some kind of content underneath some blocks. So we may have like product 1, product 2, maybe different shirts or something that are featured here. And then we could have some kind of content about it. And then we have like the copyright footer information. We may have some links or something that we could put in the footer. It just kind of depends on what we want to do. Now, for the general content layout, this could be like used for an about page. It could be used for, other kinds of pages. Maybe it's a product detail page or service detail page. So you'd have like the product or service name up here. You might have some introduction about it, like a summary, have like an order button. Then you can have like an image or something here. And you can put some more content and have another call to action. It's important to have multiple calls to action, because if you have these buttons here, it makes it easier for people to be able to take the next step, to do what you want them to do. So this is a marketing tip that I'm giving you right now, so make sure you pay attention. This here is something that you're going to want to include repeatedly on your pages. And then you want to also include links wherever you can, so that when people are reading, they can go, oh, hey, click, okay, and they'll take the next step. Alright, so then we can have some other images here if we wanted, or we can just put other content. It just kind of depends on what the page is and what the page is about, what we're trying to give people. And then we have a contact us page layout that I went and put together, and it just, put contact us. You make it clear, say something, thanks for interest in contacting us or whatever. Here's our business name. Here's where we're located. Have a link to maybe some directions where it can go to like a map or something on the page, or to Google or wherever, MapQuest or something. Then you can have like a phone number. Make sure you can include your hours and stuff. One thing I'd stress, do not put your email address directly on the page. The reason being is that there are bots that scan all these pages on the internet. They'll scan websites looking for email addresses, and then they will spam you. And so if you don't want to get a bunch of spam, do not put your email address on here. It also makes it easier for people to hack you. So instead, use a contact form. There are lots of free contact form plugins, and we will talk about that later. But it is important to use a contact form, and not only that, it is good to use something called Recaptcha, which is a Google Recaptcha thing, and or some other kind of captcha on the contact form, because if you don't, you will get more spam. So it's just like with the email address, only it would come through the form. But at least they wouldn't have your email address that they could sell. But it's still a common problem, so make sure you use some kind of captcha. I commonly use Google Recaptcha just because it's easy to install, usually, for the most part. So with most forms, most form plugins support Google Recaptcha, so you can easily, link it up. So you have to go to your Google Recaptcha and set up an account, and then you just quickly insert your site, copy the keys, and so it's not hard to do. And then okay, so then that kind of concludes the kind of page layout design that we've got going here. Okay, so let's move on. So there is a lot of stuff together, and I'm sure you will get overwhelmed and forget most of what I'm saying. And that's totally fine and understandable. So that's why I'm creating a more detailed book of all these kinds of things. So it's like a guide that's going to show you more step by step, go into more detail for how to do these types of things, and you'll be able to get that free after the webinar. It may take me a couple days to finish it because there's a lot of stuff I'm trying to include in it, because I'm trying to include screenshots and explain everything to you, but I think you'll find it really helpful, and I'll also have links to all the resources that I'm talking about, so you'll be able to just go to those easily. I do have some more tips for page layout, for how you color and design the pages, actually. So make sure that you use high contrast colors. You see how this is white on, black on white, so it has a white background with black text. It's very easy to read, but if you have something like yellow text on white, that would be hard to read. So keep those types of things in mind. So usually use a light background with dark text. You can use a dark background with light text, but that if you have a lot of content, it can be harder to read something that is, depending on the colors, it can be harder to read in general for your website content. But it can be done as long as you are just careful about it. So it kind of is a hard discussion for that. In general, the best practice is to do something with light background, dark text. Okay, your fonts should also be easy to read. This type of font right here, this is called sans serif. It's not the actual name of it, but this is the type of font it is. So this is sans serif, sans serif, sans serif. Everything is sans serif. Even these things up here are sans serif. Okay, it just means it doesn't have little fancy tail things at the ends of the letters. If you think of Times New Roman, that is a serif font. And so serif fonts are better for print. Sans serif fonts are better for on screen. It's just, for some reason, it's supposed to be easier to read. Another thing to keep in mind is to try and be considerate of your website load time. So don't try and put a whole bunch of images. So if you have a massive photo gallery of 100 images, don't just put them all on one page. Maybe split them up, maybe spread them out over the website, maybe break them up, or you can use a caching plugin that kind of loads them as you scroll down, because otherwise it can take a long time for your web page to load, and it can cause people to click away. The other thing is that it can take too long to load on mobile. So if someone has their phone out and they're trying to access your website and they don't have Wi-Fi, it may take an extremely long time for your website to load if you have too many things. So if you have too many images, too many big images especially. And another thing is that when you are building a website, make sure you test it on mobile so that you can tell if it looks good, and make sure that it's easy to read. Alright, so let's see. Another thing is, like, with big blocks of text, this is probably too much text. I would probably normally break that up, but this is an example. I might emphasize some words, I might make some things bigger and use more space. One of the big trends with websites is modern, clean, simple look for a website. So try not to overwhelm people with too much content, because chances are they probably won't read it if it's too long or too I don't know, if it looks like it will take too long for them to get through. Okay, now let's see, the other thing we want to talk about is, let me see, don't think we're quite ready for that part yet. Let me see. Sorry, I'm trying to go through everything. Oh yeah, when you're trying to figure out what to put for your content, like what exactly to put, focus on giving what your target audience wants. So you're trying to design the website for them, not for yourself. That is something that's really important, so trying to give them what they want. So if they come to your website expecting something, make sure that you deliver on whatever they're expecting. So if your website is about, puzzles, then you would need need content that gives them stuff about puzzles, or whatever it is that they're looking for. So if they're looking for hairstyles, or a particular type of hairstyles, make sure you deliver on those things. And if you advertise something, make sure you actually offer that to them, and not just use clickbait to try and get them there. Another tip is to make sure you get feedback from friends and family. You can also have them look at it. And the final thing I want to mention is that a website is never really finished. It is something that you'll need to maintain, and it's something that you should grow and expand on. So if you really want it to be successful, you need to keep adding to it, keep it fresh, keep it, interesting, and make sure you're providing something of value. Alright, so in order to build these kinds of layouts, we need some images, because I currently don't have images or any kind of content to really fill in the spaces, so I'm going to use some temporary stuff for this example, but this will just kind of give you an idea. So we are going to go to one of my free stock photo places, Pixabay. And on Pixabay, we can download various stock images, and we can use them for commercial use, so usually anyway. So if we look up autism, for example, we have different autism shirts. Well, not autism shirts, I mean different autism images. And then these are sponsored images, so I'd have to buy those. So let me look at the free ones. These are, again, more sponsored ones. So let's see. They don't have a whole lot, but we can choose just random stuff. So as you can see, different sizes. This is a widescreen image, so we'll just go ahead and say sure, we'll do that. I don't feel like signing into my account, so we'll just do that. Okay, so see, free for commercial use. When you are looking for free images, do not just go on Google and search for images and start downloading anything. You have to keep in mind that there are copyrights on those images, and you can get in trouble by different photographers or authors or companies that have rights to those images, so be careful. Try to make sure that whatever you use for free says free for commercial use. If you want to get paid photos, I do have some recommended sites, but I will provide links to those a bit later. I'll have them in the free notes, so you'll be able to get to those easily. Now, let's see, we need some other images here. they do not have too many to choose from on this topic, which is not all that surprising. So we can just look for girl, I'd guess. Sure, we'll just choose her at random. So we'll choose some random images, and there, let's see what that works. Okay. And then let's look up puzzle, I guess. Okay, we can look up a puzzle, because puzzles are also, also something with autism. So we will select that. Here, we'll select everything. There, maybe we'll try again. Boats. That's what I get for trying to do it too fast. Okay. Alright, so we've got some images. Okay, so we have some content at least. Now, it's not going to be enough to really fill this out, but like I said, this is just an example. So you can, as you can see, that's what I was doing to download the images. Now that I've downloaded them though, these are big images. They're going to be big files. If I want to resize those, or then if I want to resize it, which would be pretty important to do, because you don't want to use a full-size image in a small space. So if I'm trying to put something that is like in this space, I might make it like 600 pixels wide or 700 pixels wide, because it doesn't need to be a giant image. And by doing that, it's going to reduce the load time for the site. And in addition to that, I'm going to show you how to do another thing, which is called optimizing the images. We are going to go to tiny PNG. Okay, so we have tiny PNG is compression. They compress images. They can compress the PNG and JPEG images, and they do it pretty well. So it's not going to lose the quality so much. They have some examples. So this is the original, this is the compressed one. So as you can see, you can't really see too much of a difference, if at all. So this is what I use to compress images, and it shrinks the file size, so that way your website will load so much faster when the images are a lot lighter. Now, there's a free, I think it's called Online Photo Editor. I'm trying to remember how to get to it. There it is. Okay. So now we have this online photo editor. So I want to shrink some of those images that I just downloaded. So let's go ahead and select that. So as you can see, I've done that. I've loaded it in here anyway. Let's see. Resize. Okay, let me see. Oh, okay, it should do it. Let's do 700. Okay, good. And so as you can see, it shrunk the size of it. We'll say apply. So now it's a much smaller image. So now we can, where is the save button? Save image. And we'll call it 700. Sure, we'll just save it as 80 quality. Okay. Now we can go into here. 700. And see, it was able to compress it some more. We download that. And now we can use that when we build the website. Okay, so we've talked about how to optimize things and how to edit images and about planning the website. Let's go ahead and start trying to actually build this thing. So when you go to buy a domain name, you're going to want to go to, like I said, Namecheap. Instead of just buying, see, a lot of web hosts will offer domain names to you, but they're usually going to charge more for it, and they may not include free privacy with it. And so I recommend using Namecheap just because they are always cheap, and They include privacy for free, and I don't have to worry about it, and I can change hosts and not have to worry about trying to transfer it, etc. I even find that it's just better to do it even if a web host offers a domain name for free. I'd still rather do it this way. So, the link to Namecheap is in the description, and so if you go to Namecheap, you're going to see the landing page here, and you just type in the domain name that you are wanting to buy. And so, I already purchased this one, but we will do that as an example. So as you can see, it's already taken, but the .net one is available, and they have a bunch of other ones too. And so as you can see, there's different prices. .cool is for sale, but like I said about the I can't think of the name of it, but it's the end part of the domain name. It's better to use .com or .net whenever possible, unless you've made it part of your branding, and really emphasize that everywhere you can so people don't get confused. Alright, so after you have a domain name, you will need hosting. Now the hosting that I recommend is HawkHost. You can go to the link in the description. And so they offer hosting for $224 a month. I believe that's just for if you buy 2 years in advance, but I would say that it's definitely worth it. So if you paid full price at the $299 for 24 months, it's going to cost you $71.76. If you do 12 months, it's $399 a month, and it's so that would be $47.88 a year. And if you do monthly, they charge $4.99. So then you can just check out for $4.99 today and get your domain name, and you can get started for less than $20. So it's a really great deal. They are pretty good with their hosting. They have a lot of great features. So that's why I personally use them, and that's why I recommend them to everyone that I can. Because they have really great support. So if you are stuck, you don't know what you're doing, you can contact their support, and they will point you in the right direction and help you out. And they can help get some things set up if you need as well. To get their hosting, you would just go to Get Started, and then you would go and click this third option, which says I'll use an existing domain. Let me make sure I've got that set. Okay, good. I want to make sure you could see that. I couldn't remember if I switched. Alright, then you would type in, so I would say cool autism shirts, and then I would put .com, and then I would say use. Okay, and so then it's going to say, oh, okay, this is what you'll pay, $3.99 and stuff. It's not going to show the discount on this page, so don't freak out. Just click the blue button and stuff. Before you do, though, you need to make sure you choose your billing cycle that you want. As you can see, $2.99, $4.99 for 1 month, $2.99 for 24 months. That's, per month rate. And then $3.99 per month rate for 12 months. And then you can choose your server location. In the server location, I use Dallas because I'm targeting, it's closest to me, but also it is a midpoint for the whole US. So that's my target area that I'm targeting. If you're looking at, serving the New York area or somewhere on the East Coast, then New York City would be the best. If you're serving somewhere on California or West Coast, that would be the best one. If you're elsewhere in the world, you'd have to choose whatever is closest to you or your audience. And that's going to impact your load speed for your website and all your websites that you host on their server. Their primary plan comes with these features, so it's got 10 gigs of space, unlimited bandwidth, and you can add on however many domains you want. You can have however many email accounts you want. They have light speed, which is a really good caching thing for your website. I can show that to you later. Their websites use SSD, so that just means it's really fast. They also have another website builder, so if you don't want to use WordPress, you can use Weebly, and it's automatically included for free. So when you're ready to continue, we'll just say Dallas, and then we'll say, sure, okay. I don't want to actually check out, but as you can see, it did apply the discount, so I do get it for that whatever it was a month, I forgot. And so you would just click checkout to continue, and it shows all your details here. And so, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and empty my cart because I don't need to buy that. But as you can see, that's kind of how you do it. And then after you place your order, it's going to set up your account, and you'll get some account details. Now, your account details are going to have something called name servers in it, and you're going to need those name servers as well as the URL to log into your account. But you can also get to your account using HawkHost. All you have to do is go to your dashboard. So in this case, just click this blue button actually, and it would take me to the dashboard, and I could access the cPanel and all that kind of stuff from there. For this example, I'm not going to do that. I'm doing it a little bit different. Where did it go? I need to go into... Okay, so I've got this, and I have... Oh yeah, this is the login for it. So we are not going to show you the password because I don't want to be hacked while I do that. Okay, no. Alright, so as you can see, this is just a temporary hosting account, so don't get, all excited if you're a hacker or something. As I'm going to take it down. And so, as you can see, this is like the cPanel account for the hosting. You can always get to that from... it will automatically log you in from HawkHost if you do it that way. Otherwise, if you go to the login page, you'll have to do just like what I did and just put in the login, and it will let you in. Now, I've already pointed the domain name to this hosting using the Namecheap and stuff. I have details for that in my little instructions that I will send to you in the notes. But it's really easy. It's just adding the name servers. So you would go to, let me see, I don't think it's displaying it on here, but it should be like NS1, a random server or something like that, .com, and then NS2 a random server.com or something like that. It'll be something similar to that. And so you would go to Namecheap, and then you would go click on a manage button, and you would then go into the name server section, and you would select custom DNS, and you would put in the name server information there. And that would point the domain name that you just bought to your hosting account. So if you don't do that, then it won't work. So it's really important to do that. It can take up to 48 hours for it to fully take effect, but it usually is done within a few minutes. It's almost like instantaneous most of the time. And so once you get to this point, you're good. So okay, so now we're going to go and set up everything. First, we're going to make sure that we have SSL enabled, so we just do a search for SSL and we do let's encrypt. This hosting account has free SSL, so that's one of the things that is great about HawkHost. You can have email accounts, you can have SSL, it's all included, all for free. Well, not necessarily for free, but it's included with your hosting, which is a really good feature. So you don't have to pay, a bunch of money. Whereas like GoDaddy, they will charge you for each email account that you want or something like that. Here it's automatically included with your hosting because it's stuck on the same server. Alright, so when you are looking at the SSL page, as you can see, I have cool autism shirts, and they all have little green locks and circles. So that just means the SSL was automatically done and it was successful. If it wasn't green, then you can do run SSL. I can do it, it won't hurt anything. But it just goes and issues a free SSL certificate called Auto SSL. And it takes a couple minutes, as you can see. And then once it does that, you'll be able to build the website with WordPress and use HTTPS in your URL. So SSL is important because it affects your search engine ranking. If you have a website that doesn't have SSL, then it may rank lower than sites that do. It's because it is so standardized and it's so free, it's so available, every website should have it. It just helps secure the information on the website, helps encrypt it between the server and the user that's accessing it, and so it makes it more secure. At least that's my understanding of it. I could be wrong. Yeah. There it goes. It did it. It will refresh in 5 seconds. So, see, it's done. Alright, it does expire after a while, but it will automatically renew, so... Alright, so now that we are done with that... Oh. Okay, well, we click the cPanel logo. It changed the look of it a little bit on me, so... it's a little bit different than what I am used to seeing. But I do have several hosting accounts on HawkHost that are of a different type than the shared hosting, so it may be a little bit different than what I'm used to. So just excuse me, it will throw me off a little bit. Alright. After doing that, let's see. We have to set up WordPress. So what we're going to do, sorry, I'm kind of flip through my notes here, is we are going to type in soft Oculus apps installer. I guess there's multiple ones on here. Let's choose that one. Alright, so as you can see, there's a whole bunch of them. This is Soft Oculus. It is a really great tool to quickly install a variety of different applications. So as you can see, you can have all kinds of different websites on here. WordPress is really good to use, but if you ever needed to use something else, you know, this is like for forums. There's different things, and so you can have different subdomains and install things on those, or you can have other domain names and install things on those. For this example, we're going to install WordPress to build our simple small business websites. So we are going to click install now, and as you can see, HTTPS, because we have SSL enabled, and it shows our domain name. Now, in this directory, we are going to remove that. If we do not, it will install the website in that directory, and so if they go to coolautismshirts.com, they won't see it if we have something in there. So we need to make sure that's blank. This is the version. It should be fine. We just leave it on the iMac. And then we are going to put in cool autism shirts. Okay. Autism shirt. No, no. Okay, amazing autism shirts. Okay, don't want to forget the R there. So sorry about that. That was an accident. Alright, now we do not want to use the admin username. We are going to use something else, and don't worry, hackers, I'm going to change this. Let's see. There, we'll just do something. How about that? Alright, so I'm going to write this stuff down so that I don't lose it. Okay. Alright, there we go. So we are going to hide this. Alright. Now, I don't want that. I'm going to use my other thing. Okay, so, because I don't have another email, I'm going to point it to whatever email. So you put in your email address that you want. This is going to be your WordPress site login information, so you put in the username. Do not use admin or anything too obvious, because there will be hackers that will try and hack your site. They love to do that. They come from all over the world. So don't use admin, and make sure you have a good password that should be at least, rated strong, because they will try and hack your site, and you don't want that. Okay, so we have English. We're going to go ahead and put that on there. I usually do, just as a precaution. And then, as you can see, you have database name. You don't have to worry about that, but I do check these boxes so that it automatically upgrades to everything automatically. The reason being is that there are security problems that can arise if you don't keep your website updated. So always make sure that you do regular updates, and that means for plugins, themes, and for the WordPress site as a whole. So you can set these things to automatically do it, which will save time and hassle, but you do need to enable those things to automatically do it, and we'll have to do it inside the WordPress dashboard as well. It's not hard to do, it's just something to remember. Now, as for a theme, we're not going to really worry about that right now. We're just going to go ahead and say, okay, install. And so then this will take a couple minutes. It usually does it pretty quick. What it's doing in the background is installing all the files. It's installing the, setting up the database, creating all that for you. Okay, so now it has the logins. And so this here, as you can see, this is the WordPress admin dashboard. And this is what you see when you go to when you log into your website. Now, to see what the website currently looks like, you go there. If you type in your domain, this is currently what it is. This is the default WordPress theme. It's got it's showing a blog page by default. And as you can see, it's just got amazing autism shirts and stuff. And so now we're going to go work on changing all of that. And we do that by going into the dashboard. Okay, so, alright, let's talk about some of the things over here so we kind of show you what things to focus on. There's a lot to cover, but we'll try and keep this as simple as possible. One of the first things we need to do is install plugins. So this is the plugin section. This is where your theme is to control what the website looks like, so the colors and layout and different things like that. Pages are the main pages of your website. And then remember how we talked about the blog. The blog is where posts go. So whenever you create a post for your blog, that's where you put those things. You can set categories. Don't worry about tags, but you can create tags, but it's not important. Media, that's where you're gonna upload your images for your website, and you can also upload PDFs. You can upload some other things like different other files. Do keep in mind that they do have a limit on how many, how much you can upload, how big that file can be, so don't, use too big of files. It may time out on you or just not go through. Let's see. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is install security. So we're going to go to plugins, add new. This is one of the first things I always do because hackers. We don't want hackers to attack the site. So I just typed in WordFence. WordFence is my favorite security plugin. There is another one that is comparable, but I think it's server security. I think that's the other one. But I always use WordFence. You can use whichever one you want. This is not like a paid sponsorship or anything. I just like WordFence because it's what I use. It's what I'm used to, and it works. So I went and hit install now, and now it turned into activate. So this is going to, what it did is just install the files onto the website, and now I have to activate that plugin so it will actually work. So I activate it, which turns it on. And so it can take a moment to do. Okay, so now it's telling me, okay, blah, 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 and I put in my login, well, not my login, my email address. No, I already get that stuff. So then you hit continue, and then it's going to ask, okay, do you want to purchase it? No, we don't need to upgrade right now. Alright, so as you can see, here's WordFence, which we just installed. It also appears on the side here. As you can see, it says antivirus, firewall, and malware scan. It's going to automatically be checking your website, looking for anything that's not updated, looking for any kind of files that look like malware, if the site's been hacked or infected with malware, which has happened with sites I've seen in the past. It can cause a lot of problems, so WordFence helps prevent those problems. So WordFence is really good. It also prevents hackers, so it can stop hackers from trying to log in repeatedly. It can block IP addresses and different things like that. So we will look at that a little bit later. Now we have this Hello Dolly. We can remove that. I never really use a Kismet, but we'll just go ahead and delete those. And so we sure. Okay. Now the other thing we want to install is a page builder. I like to use a paid version, but for this example we will use a free one called Beaver Builder. It should be Beaver Builder Lite. Oh, I forgot to enable that. We'll go ahead and enable that real quick. I forgot it wants me to configure it. Alright, we'll configure WordFence first. Alright, it's going to tell you, okay, download this file, say okay, and then it will save it. So save the file. Okay. Then click continue. It's just a backup of a server file, so if something goes wrong, you can get that file back. But it always just usually works. So, okay, so this is WordFence Firewall, and so you can see it will learn. Currently in learning mode, it will learn about your website and how it works and types of things to work on. The thing we need to focus on is, well, this protection. A word about the protection. When you install WordFence and you try to move it to a new host, if you do not remove this first, you will not be able to get the website to function if you move it to a new host. So this will cause a problem for you unless you remember to do that. If you ever have problems, you can always contact me and I will help you. I've dealt with this repeatedly. So it's an easy fix. As you can see, advanced firewall, we'll look at that a little bit. Sometimes you have to press refresh rules, but it's usually not a big problem. Brute force, I think this was the one. Okay. We are going to block anyone that uses admin. This is a really, really good feature. We can also immediately lock out invalid names. Because the only one that I want logging into it is me right now. So I don't want anyone else to do that. And I can actually say, okay, log out anyone after 5 login failures. And so this is just a good security tool. We'll leave everything else the same, and then we will save changes. Okay. Alright, so WordFence is, a really great tool for that. Now we can continue where we left off. And that is installing a page builder. So I was trying to put Beaver Builder. Now that we got WordFence finished and set up. Oh yeah, there it is. WordPress page builder for Beaver Builder. This is the light version of it. It is free. I haven't really used this one, so I don't know if it updates automatically or not. The pro version requires a license to update. Let me see. What does it say on this? You have the free version, no license is required. Okay. So that's good. Alright, now if we say post types, we can say, sure, I want to use it for posts too. I usually do. That's up to you. I like their page builder and I use it for everything that I possibly can. I don't want to do that right now. I am making an example site. So we dismiss that. So we have settings saved. Alright, we should be good. Now I also want to install a form plugin. So we've just installed WordFence, we just installed Beaver Builder, and now we want to install, we're going to install Fluent Forms. That's what I like to use. I use their pro version of their plugin, but they also have this one, a free version of it. They have a really great pro plugin that I like to use, that I have licensed to use, and it is packed full of features that are really amazing. So I don't know what their free version is like. It's probably not as good, but for this example it will work. So right now the focus is just trying to build a really simple, cheap small business website. So that's why we're using the free versions and stuff of these plugins, to try and keep the costs down, so that you're not paying a whole bunch of money for a bunch of fancy features or fancy plugins that you don't necessarily need at this stage. So if we wanted to install a store, one of the best ones that I do like is called Ecwid. Ecwid e-commerce shopping cart. They have a free plan. You can have up to 10 products for free. If you want to go beyond that, then you end up having to pay for a plan, but it's a really nice little shopping cart. If you click on it, you can kind of see what it looks like. This is kind of what it does, and it gives you their back end and stuff you can install that will show up on your website back end, and also that you can access from their end, and it just makes it really nice. You can upload products to other platforms and stuff. It's a really cool plugin, so it's something that I would recommend using. You can also use something called Woocommerce. Let's see. So Woocommerce, this is another one. It's free, but they have plugin extensions for different things that can cost money, and some of it, can cause headaches. So there's a plugin called Jetpack that it tries to install with it, and I find that it has a conflict with my website. So whenever I try to do that, so I don't use Jetpack for that reason. So there are some features that you can use with WooCommerce without having to use Jetpack, but I just find that it does tend to work slower than using Ecwid, because it's a lot more files that you're downloading directly on the website, whereas Ecwid is something that's off-platform that you put on your website. So they give you like a shortcode or something, a widget or something that you can install on the pages that you want, and it will help install those things for you and stuff like that with their plugin, and it will display it without having to load a lot of stuff on the back end, where like WooCommerce. So it's a little bit faster, I think, in that sense. It's not as integrated with the website though, with like registration and stuff, from what I can remember of using it. So just something to keep in mind. So if you're trying to make user accounts on your website that you want to do different things and integrate a store, it can be a little bit difficult with Ecwid, whereas WooCommerce would use those same user registrations and stuff. It gets more advanced. So I'm going to try and keep it simple, so we will not worry about that at the moment, and we will instead focus on creating our pages and setting up a theme. So let's go look at themes now. Alright, so this is our current theme. Let's see, there are a lot of free themes. There's a lot to consider when installing a theme. You're going to find a whole bunch of different stuff here. Some of these themes that you're going to find look really great, but they may require additional plugins. They may not be well maintained. There could be potential conflicts or security issues and different kinds of things that you have to be mindful of. I don't know if they have the free theme in here. but we will look. No, they don't. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a pro feature. Okay, so we are going to use this one for this example. But you can use whatever theme you want. You can purchase themes off one of the marketplaces for WordPress themes. There's a lot of them. I recommend Beaver Builder's theme, but that requires a pro subscription, so we're trying to keep this as free and cheap as possible. So we're just gonna use this 2019 theme because I think it looks better. Alright, so as you can see, it's kind of giant text here, and it's got all these things. So what we're gonna do is remove all of these things under widgets, because these are all little widgets. So this is like a little block, this is a little block, here's another one, and another one, and it's just stacked them everywhere. So we are going to remove these. And I know I'm going really fast. I'm gonna hopefully do a better job with the notes here, so it'll be a lot more clear, and I won't jump around so much with everything. Okay, home page settings. So as you can see, let me talk about some of these things first, I guess. The first thing is site identity. That's going to be like your logo and the little icon that shows up in the top. If you don't have an icon, it's going to show the default WordPress icon, which is like a W and a circle or something. And so if you click on it, you can see select logo. I currently don't have a logo to throw in there. I can throw in something else though. We will use the logo for the training. Oh. Apparently I'm having trouble with my computer at the moment. Cats, you know, the cats like to knock things over, so I think they probably messed something up on my computer. But alright, so we'll just use text for now. Normally we would try and upload something and we'd put something there. I don't think I have anything to really throw in there. I guess I could just throw this on there maybe. It's a giant image, so I probably should have compressed that, but this is just an example. So you would take your compressed images and then you would upload those to the website so that they don't take so long like this to load. So this is a very large image that I chose, and so it's taking a very long time to display and load. Alright, well, anyway, so if you upload something like a square image, preferably that's, you know, 600 pixels by 600 pixels or something like that, then it will shrink and show up by the title of your website. And then here you can set colors. Let's see what this one does. It's a little bit different everywhere. Okay, so we're gonna try and hurry this along because I see that I'm almost out of time. Menus. This is what controls the menus that appear on your website. And so we can just say main menu, and we would set this to primary, which is going to put it in the default spot. And then see, now we can go add items, and then we can say okay, and here's a sample page. Alright, so there it's showing them next to each other there. And so to save those changes, we hit publish. And so what we're doing is we're customizing this theme a bit to kind of change the look of it. We can add widgets into the footer. Widgets are just like these types of different things that you can put in here. So you can put in text, you can put, you know, see a list of pages, you can put a menu in there, you can put an image. If you wanted to put a logo or something like that, you can do that in this spot. And homepage settings, see, it's going to show the content, you know, of, well, it's going to show the list of blog posts is what it's doing. So since there's only one example blog post, it's saying hello world, and that's why that's showing there. We can set it to a static page by just clicking this button, and so we only have one page. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a home page. We'll just say home page. There we go. Now it's set to home page, and we can create a page for the blog. So we'll do blog. Done. Okay, so now we have a blog page, but as you can see, it's not in the navigation. So we're going to go back to menus, and then we can click on that and add it. Okay, so now you can see that it's showed up here. Okay. Now, we kind of have something going on here. It's pretty ugly, but it's a start anyway. So let's try to create some of these pages now. So we see this is set to the home page. We can click Beaver Builder, and that's going to let us, edit it. I don't need a tour because I know kind of what to do. Oh wow, okay. So a lot of features are locked out, but it still gives us some basic tools to edit the page. So as you can see, we've got the title there. We can add an image here. Rows. Okay. Rows are something, so you can drag modules onto here. You can also go to rows, and this is where we can create like a featured section on the home page. And as you can see, we can we have these blocks here, so we can put something inside here. This is the container for this thing. We can also do 2 columns, so let's look at what that looks like. So it goes inside of the same row, but now it's 2 columns. So see, we can have 2 columns of content. We can have this, and we can tell it, okay, full width, and we can say, sure, we'll say full width, and we can say full height. So as you can see, look at that. Now it's the full height of the page, but we can't really see anything with it. So we'll quickly go over here. We can change this to photo. The Pro version has some really neat effects like parallax and stuff. We will just, let's see, I should have something else. I have those files that I downloaded. So let's see, we'll do this for an example here. Okay, so as you can see, I've went and added a photo there. There's a lot more features that I could do. But that just kind of gives you an idea. Let's see. Okay, so now we have this giant image. I can put put text on it too. I really don't like this theme though. So let me try activating this one and see what it does. Okay, let's refresh it. Okay, so as you can see, changing the theme can dramatically change what a website looks like. So now it has this tan color on here. Let's see if I can make this look better. Let's go to edit. Now, the difference between edit and the Beaver Builder is edit gives you access to some of these other functions. So, see, we can say full width template. And let's see, what else does it give us control over? Featured image is something that will show up in the search engines and on social media for the page. So if you don't have something set, it may find something at random on the page and show that. But you can set something more specifically by using the setting here. Okay. Alright. So let's go ahead and hit update. Okay, so now we have the featured image that's showing on here. It's because of this theme, and I am not liking that theme. So It's possible to add a different theme, but I'm running out of time for this webinar. To totally complete this, so we'll have to pick up on another day, but you can see that we kind of had to go over what we're trying to do. I'm going to try and wrap this up then. I'm sorry we didn't get to go through all of the things that I wanted to do. So what we will do is kind of recap kind of what we've covered, and then we'll have to pick up on another day and continue this. It is a big topic. It seems like a lot of information, and I guess it is, but with the step-by-step guide that I'm going to give you, it's going to make it a whole lot easier. So it is a work in progress. I am I did print it out. It's I give you the information that you want to know on how to do it step by step, showing you screenshots, all that kind of stuff. And I'll cover more of that in there too as well, for how to kind of drag and drop things and stuff. Beaver Builder is the page builder I use. There are other ones that you can use too. Some of them are free with limited features, just like Beaver Builder, and then there's a lot of ones that are paid. So I prefer Beaver Builder because they, with a subscription, you can install it on as many websites as you want. And it has a lot of great features. It makes it really easy, and it loads pretty fast without slowing the website down. So there's a lot of benefits to it. Let me see here. Let me go back on here. So, yeah, you can start to see some of what I was talking about. I will have to cover it more later, but with Fluent forms, you can build a contact form really easily. With the Beaver Builder, you can build the page layouts like I was showing you, and you can kind of see how you can create the different pages with WordPress. So you can go up to here and you can create pages from here. You can also do it from the dashboard. WordPress is easy to use. It's just there is a little bit learning curve to get used to, but that's the same with anything. Any kind of system that you go to, you're going to have to learn how to use something. WordPress is really flexible, has a ton of support, so if you need help, you're going to be able to find it. You're going to be able to find hired help. You can find a lot of community support for free using WordPress. And you can get a lot of really amazing features added to your website for free or for very low cost. Whereas if you built everything from scratch or used another system, you may be locked into a certain platform paying, $50 a month, more than that a month, just to get access to some of these features that you can get a lot cheaper. So I'm trying to save you money. That's why I do the things that I do, is I'm trying to reduce costs, for myself and for my clients and for those, for anyone that's trying to do this kind of stuff. I know how it is. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I mean, since high school. So it's been, I started learning this in like the year 2000 or so. I was like grade 10. And so I've been doing this for a long time. And this is stuff that I'd like to be able to share with you because I think that can help you. And I think that, if you know how to save some money, you can use that money for other things. You can, pay for whatever, take a vacation, take a day off, take your family out. I don't care what you do with the money that you save, but I think that you can have a lot more power if you know how to cut costs on some of these things. And hosting, domain names, and some of the features that you can get with WordPress, this stuff can save you a lot of money if you know what you're doing. So to try and wrap this up, we will get back another time. Please, please, please be sure to sign up on, let me see, where is it? On Making the Impact or freewebsitetraining.net. please do this. Go to one of the, sign up for the webinars, sign up for my free website giveaway. I am giving away a free website I will build for you and include the hosting and domain name for you, as well as the pro versions of Beaver Builder, Fluent Forms, and help you out for life. You know, the domain name and hosting is like 40, charge $12 usually for a standard domain name for a year, and the hosting I charge $45 a year. And so, and you get my help, my own personal help, and I will build your website for you in this website giveaway. So be sure to go to my websites and sign up for that. You can sign up for the giveaway at makingtheimpact.com. You can sign up for the webinar training and notes at freewebsitetraining.net or makingtheimpact.com. I've got links on both of there, both the sites. So make sure you do those things. Subscribe to my channel. Like this video. It would really help me out. And please share this and have fun building your website. And check back with me again, and I will totally blow you away with the information that I'm going to share with you. Thank you for watching and being patient with me and having some fun. See you later.